guess what, everybody? It is high school football time in East Texas. Hi again, Bill Coates. Welcome to another season of Coach's Corner here on TISD TV Channel 19. Coach Ricklan Holmes of John Tyler is with us, and the season begins this week in the Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic at the stadium. Thursday night, Gilbert, Liberty, Ilo. There's an early game on Saturday. And then Robert E. Lee plays Saturday night. But how about Friday night? The Lions against the Plano Wildcats. Great matchup between two of the great powers in Texas high school football, multiple state championships between the two of them, and Coach Ricklan Holmes is with us. Doesn't get any better than this time of the year, does it?
Most definitely. I'm sitting here talking to you again, and know that we have a game this Friday at 7:30.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
Just the preparation for the season, people don't understand. The kids are just back at school, but the preparation for this moment has been going on basically since last season ended.
Most definitely. With our early loss in the first round, our off-season started off earlier. We had a good off-season, got stronger, got faster, and then we went into it and had a strong spring. Out of that strong spring, we had a great summer with 7-on-7 making a strong appearance in the 7-on-7 state tournament.
Got deep in that tournament.
Got very deep in that, and it has carried over into our summer training with our 5 a.m. workouts, and continue to do that at 6 a.m. now. Our kids love it. They're under the lights, and we're getting a lot of productive work done. I want to talk to you about that 5 a.m. I mean, I'd like to protest that. Is there any way I can change your mind about that? No. It's not too much I can do about that because my kids are comfortable, my coaching staff is comfortable with it, and we're getting a lot of great things out of that right now.
So you're going to do, I know you did it for 2 days,
yes,
or in that portion, but you're going to continue that on during the regular season.
But it'll only be for 3 days now, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
All right. So you're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday workouts at 5 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m., which gets you off the field about 8.
Gets off the field at 8. School starts at 8:35. Right. Kids have plenty of time to shower up and get ready for school.
And all their work's done, and they focus on class for the rest of the day.
Focus on class the rest of the day. That's right.
I know Tyler Junior College has always worked out in the morning. Just talk about, that's kind of interesting to be able to do that while they're fresh. Is it, do you like it?
It makes for a shorter day, because now you wake up in the morning, you get work done, you get things done that you probably would have to wait towards the end of the day to try to do. And it helps them out not only with, preparing in great weather, but it also helps them focus more on what they need to focus on towards the end of the day, which is their 8-hour day of school.
8-hour day of school. And then once they're out of school, they're kind of take a deep breath and kind of refresh themselves, can't they?
That's right.
And some of them, some of them do have jobs,
that's right,
that they can go work part-time or do whatever they need to do,
yes,
right?
And it doesn't interfere with their study time, doesn't interfere with their part-time work time, and it gives them an opportunity to do stuff during the day that they wouldn't have the opportunity to do getting out at 7, 8 o'clock practice. Now, not going to bed on time because they do have work that they need to do as far as studying or whatever that may be. Now,
you do have an athletic period.
We do have athletic period.
Right, and that's later in the day. Talk about that. Folks are not familiar. There is a class, it's scheduled as a class, right? Yes. It's part of the deal.
And during that athletic period, that's mainly when we would get mainly our conditioning and our weightlifting in. So we'll use that time wisely with special teams and conditioning.
What time of the day, just for folks who are not familiar with it, what time of the day is your athletic period?
Athletic period is from 3:30 to the end of school, which is at a 4:11.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So that's so JT's trying something a little different this year. A very early morning workout. Sounds like a lot of fun, unless you're an old guy like me trying to get out there to watch some of those. But
not very many fans be out there now.
That's
watching
right.
Practice.
That's true enough. All right, let's talk a little bit about we're going to watch the scrimmage highlights. JT scrimmage Mount Pleasant this past week. We're going to watch that. But before we talk about the team and all that, let's talk a little bit about this week's opponent, Plano. If I'm not mistaken, the last time Plano was here at Trinity Mother Frances Rowe Stadium was 1973 at a bi-district playoff game against Earl Campbell and Company. And that went very well for John Tyler. So what do you have to do to make that happen again on Friday night?
Have a good practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and get ready for Friday. Making sure we stay healthy, making sure we understand everything that they do offensively, defensively, and on special teams.
They're kind of a throwback too. Everybody's throwing the ball these days, not Plano, right?
Yeah. They'll line up, running down your throat type of team. They spread it out every once in a while just to throw people off, but they're real disciplined and their running game is strong.
Talk to me about, over the last couple of years, when teams have done that to you, your guys are so used to running and chasing with these spread offenses. That's kind of an adjustment now, isn't it?
It's very much adjustment. And the good thing about playing Plano is it's going to get us ready for a district opponent that pretty much has the same offense as them, and that's Ennis.
Ennis, okay. Who, by the way, I understand did pretty well this past week against Longview.
They did. And like I say, they're line up, running down your throat type of team too.
All right, okay, that's interesting stuff. All right, tell you what, before we talk specifically about this year's Lions, and there are a lot of great players coming back, a lot of newcomers, why don't we roll some of the video of the scrimmage? You guys, by the way, as we get ready to do that, you scrimmaged over in Mount Pleasant this week.
We did, and we went against a Mount Pleasant Tiger team that's coached by a new coach, Coach Corey Homer.
Okay.
For those of you who've been with the program for a little while, you remember Coach Homer. He coached here with us when Rush first took over.
Okay, I thought I recognized that name. All right, and they're a smaller 5A program.
Smaller 5A
program in the same district with, I think, Texas High. Now here's
and
a look at Longview. Okay, so here's some of the scrimmage. Of course, you're obviously in the blue and white here, light-colored uniforms. What are we looking at?
This is the defense right here. Ones against ones. Great play by a linebacker who played a lot last year, Jalen Reese. Coming in, I expect him to have a very strong senior season, building off his junior year that he had last year.
Here's that great end zone look that we like so much.
Coming downhill and he's filling the hole well. Great form tackle, keeping your head up, wrapping the ball carrier up.
Okay, good enough. All right, you're still on defense here, right? This is
yes.
a wide angle view, different deal. Now the way you format these scrimmages, you're going to let them run what? 10 or 15 plays before you switch. Here's a pick, right?
Yeah, that's a young pup right there, Damian Miller. He's a sophomore and he's a very phenomenal athlete. We expect some big things out of him on the offense and the defensive side of the ball.
Will he? Is this your one defense here?
This is our one defense. He's a two-way starter right now. Him and Nick Kane.
Really?
Are two guys that start on both sides of the ball.
So Damian's a cornerback for you, or
he's
safety?
A safety.
Safety. Okay. And here's the end zone look at the interception. Good stuff. Right place, the right time, right?
Right place, right plan. That's doing things disciplined and making sure you do what you need to do.
Now here you're on offense for the first time.
Yep. It's a great run by a running back that's coming back. Right here, swing pass.
Is that Jeremy?
Well, it was to Jeremy. This right here is a different angle. This one right here was to Nick Kane.
Okay, this is Nick. Okay.
We had some technical difficulties with our video on Friday. We got some new film guys, and we were training them up. So the scrimmage was a good training for them to get ready for the season.
Now Nick plays both receiver and slot
cornerback.
back, right? And cornerback, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a touchdown run. Who's that?
I believe right there that is Jeremy Wilson.
Okay.
And then this is a jump ball right here to Rodney Bendy.
Who's about 6'5".
6'5", North Texas commit right now.
He is a big, tall kid. He really is. There you go. Watch this fade. Get a young man that tall, easy to complete that pass.
Easy to complete that type of pass.
All right, it's turning a little darker now as we move on in the scrimmage.
Back on defense. But main thing I like about this is our defense is swarming to the ball a lot better than they did last year. You know, we always talk about 11 blue hats getting to the ball, and Anderson screens that day in and day out, and the kids are buying in and they believe in that. You know, these are the things that we need to take care of. This is my booming punter right here.
Who is your punter?
Luis Duran.
Okay.
He's a returning All-State kid. He takes care of all our kicking arrangements. This is a run right here by Jeremy Wilson. We expect a lot of productivity out of him from the backfield this year.
We've heard Jeremy. Seems like Jeremy's been with you about 5 years. He plays as a sophomore.
Yeah, he's been there as a sophomore. He's one of the old heads
yes, he is.
On the team. Him and Isaac Warren, they're one of those kids.
Yeah, they played a lot of football for the Lions. There you go.
He's a tough little kid, very compact, has great speed, great hands coming out the backfield.
Screen pass here to who?
To a Tommy Dyer. Tommy has been with us for a little while. One of the kids that's came up through the program, and we expect some things out of him this year too. He's a very nice-sized kid, decent speed, and great hands. So
Here's Luis Duran again. Who's the holder? Give him some props.
This is Nick Kane. He's going to be our holder.
Okay.
And we always tell our offense, if you can get us on the 30, we got 3 points.
Okay. There you go. Man, you've been lucky with some good kickers.
Have been for several years now. And that's a great contested coach story. He's been helping us out with that.
He's the soccer coach,
He's
right?
the soccer coach.
Okay.
This kid right here is Quaylen Brown, man. He went to the sideline, and, from the other side, we thought he had ran out of bounds. He was tackled. Next thing we know, he come back across the field and touchdown. So.
All right, we're going to see it again here? No, this is back on. Okay, here we go. This is back on defense.
It's still on offense. Like I said, we had some technical difficulties, and we got some guys that we were training up.
Training to be video guys?
Training up to be some video guys.
That's all right.
They've been at work every day. So now they just have to get into the mode of doing things the way that we need things done on Friday.
I understand. That's part of the deal.
Part of the deal.
All right. So you got through the Mount Pleasant scrimmage, and so now you get to the real deal. Now your non-district schedule this year, in addition to Plano, talk about who else is on that non-district schedule.
Second game, we got to go out of town and we go to Longview. As everybody know, the rivalry between Longview and John Tyler is going to be a hard-hitting match.
Yeah. And
then we come back to Rose Stadium as the visitors this year to play Robert E. Lee.
Robert E. Lee.
And then we have a bye week. And then after that bye week, our first district game, instead of the last district game, is White House.
Yeah. That's right. You play them earlier this year. Now, the original schedule, just to get people to look behind the curtain, one of the toughest jobs that a coach has is always scheduling, and this was a realignment year.
Yes.
You originally had a game scheduled in that Border Classic over in Louisiana,
That's
did
right.
you not?
And the reason we scheduled that game was because we thought we was going to get put back into a 7-team district.
Right.
So we had to
Which would have meant you needed four non-district games.
We had to have 4 non-district games. Right. And with us having to play Robert E. Lee every year, and when the Border Classic fell, it fell on the week that we alternate the classics, which is either week 1 or week 2. Mm-hmm. So it has to be in one of those deals right there. So it fell on that, and we couldn't adjust it. So.
Well, do you think they'll invite you back at some point?
Oh, they will. They will. We've already been in contact with them, and they told us, after this next realignment, if things fit, they would love for us to come up there and play.
That was going to be over in Shreveport at the Independence Stadium over there. It sounds like a neat deal. All right, so you got Plano this week. All right, before we talk more specifically about the Wildcats, all right, you saw some of the guys. The offense always starts with a quarterback. And last year, after Greg Ward's brilliant career at John Tyler, Gio McAllister was introduced to us last year. Big, strong young man, had a pretty darn good first year, didn't he?
He did, and I expect him to have an even better year this year. He's slimmed down a little bit, he's got faster, and he understands the offense. And he's making some plays now that he had no idea he could make last year.
I saw him run an 84-yarder in one of the games. Well, he did it against Lee. I did several of your games last year. Talk about what this young man, because he's truly a dual threat, big, strong kid. You actually, like as a freshman, he was like a linebacker.
He was a linebacker.
Yeah.
So he's a tough kid. He's a gritty kid that has quarterback skills.
Yeah.
And he's also a kid that is smart enough to run an offense. So.
He, strong arm young man. I remember last year you were working with him on the form and
his mechanics
of being a quarterback, and he wanted to tuck it and run too much, and there were things that I get. I mean, it'd be hard to it's not as easy as it looks. People sitting in the stands see the open receivers. When you're seeing the flash down on the field at ground level, it ain't the same thing.
Yeah, and like I tell them, the quarterback job is really 2 things. If everybody just really look at it, a quarterback is to get the ball. And after he get the ball, it's 2 things that the quarterback is supposed to do. First of all, if it's a pass, you throw it.
Yep.
If it's a run, you hand it off. All runs are not for you to take off and run. If we wanted you to run the ball, we would call for you to run the ball. But as a quarterback, your main job is to hand off or to throw the ball.
How much better is he at doing that now?
He's a lot better. He's a lot better. He understands that he's a quarterback first and not a running back.
But he's not a bad running back.
He's not a bad running back.
When he needs to, he's pretty good.
He can tuck that thing and he can go.
Yeah.
But we expect him to have a higher completion rate this year and more yards.
All right, your wide receivers, he's got the reason you want him to throw it because there's guys down the field that can catch the darn thing, right?
Yeah, we got a couple of them.
Yeah.
We got a couple of them. You start with Rodney Benning, a 6'5" receiver committed to North Texas. You go to Nick Kane, very electrifying. DB also.
Two-way starter.
Two-way starter. He's committed to ULM. Then you go to Dontavian Gross. He's a junior this year. Had a great sophomore season last year.
Yeah.
And then you come to the young puppy. The young puppy is Damian Miller, which is another two-way starter.
Yeah.
He stars at safety and he stars at receiver.
Yeah, that's a good group.
Good group.
So you're going to when you're in 4 and 5 wide, you've got plenty of guys there. Your running back, your constant in the backfield, is still going to be Jeremy
Wilson. But you know, when we go to the empty set, you know, he is that dangerous slot receiver that he made his mark at his sophomore and his junior year.
First time you guys have always been able to run that slot jet sweep about as well as anybody. Who does that for you this year?
You know, it still be Jeremy.
Okay.
We still pop it off with him every once in a while, but like I said, you got Damien, you got Dontavian Gross that'll be able to do it. You got Kane that we also use to do it. So you just have to wait and see who's gonna get it.
To give you an idea of how effective the quarterback position has been at John Tyler, the last 2 kids before McCollister, Greg Ward and Jeremy Johnson, are both still playing. Ward's playing at the University of Houston. Jeremy Johnson was in the NFL, got released by the Patriots, but I have no doubt, I think.
Then he got picked up by the Bengals.
By the Bengals, and the Bengals, yeah. And so anyway, he's been, he's trying to earn his way in the National Football League as a slot receiver, so we know there's talent there. What about the offensive line? Somebody's got to block for him.
Almost definitely. And you got 3 guys up front, well, actually 4 up front that's returning. You got Adrian Polito, you got Ken Holmes, you got Teddy Attaway, and you got Adrian Harris that's returning from the offensive line that we had last year. We had to find us another center, and we had 2 guys that were going to be able to do the job, and it's really going to come down to who practiced the best Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to see who that center is going to be. They're both productive.
Would you describe your offense? It's really not smash mouth per se in the old sense of the word, is it?
Yeah, but y'all might get a surprise this year.
Okay, that's my question. I mean, this group, when you need to play that style of football, because at some point in the year, if you go far enough, if you go the 16 games that you're planning to go this year, you're going to have to do that.
You're going to have to have a running game, and that's something that we've been working on since Blaylock came in. Is making our running phase of our game a lot more stronger than it has been for the past couple of years.
Now, for those not familiar, Blaylock is William Blaylock, your new offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Right? He played offensive line at JT for Alan Wilson.
Yes, he did.
Pretty darn good football player. Went to Tulane, didn't he?
Went to Tulane, and but he graduated from Baylor. I think he played his last 3 years at Baylor. Pretty darn good offensive lineman. And he would have to have a little bit of a running mindset since he played the position. And if he played for Alan Wilson, then he should know how to coach offensive linemen to run block, shouldn't he? Most definitely. But he's not my O-line coach.
Okay.
My O-line coach is Dan Gay, which is a counterpart of his that played with him at Baylor.
Okay.
Dan also played in the league for a couple of years, and he brings his college and NFL experience to our O-line, and they're loving it. I told them right at spring football, I was telling them, spring football was over with. I said, well, now come back next year, I'm gonna get you a real O-line coach. So are you ready? And I looked at me, and was like, what do you mean by a real O-line coach? I said, well, when you get here, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So after that first 2 days of training camp, a couple walked up to me and they said, Coach, I understand what you mean by a real O-line coach.
Okay.
Because he demands perfection, because that's what he had to do.
Right.
And then, like I said, he played at all levels, high school, college, and pro, so he knows what it takes to get things done.
All right, let's switch to the other side of the football. I've known Ike Warren for a long time. He's a bright-eyed, good, friendly young man. I see him around town. You've got some kids on that side of the football this year. It ain't all about offense. John Tyler, maybe more than any. To me, when I still think the Cujo defense. That's where the name came from, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was all part because of the way they played defense, wasn't it?
Most definitely. And this defense right here is going to be that type of defense again. We got a strong line up front with Braylon Jones and Leonard Pierre.
Who's being highly recruited. He's just a junior.
Highly recruited right now. And then Leonard Pierre that had to sit out last year as a sophomore because he transferred to us from Chicago. You got Jasavier Reese returning. You got a Tillman Morgan and also Rodney Bendy that'll be playing defensive end.
Really?
And he's very, very productive.
He didn't do that last year.
He didn't do that last year. But this year, going through the spring, he understood that he needs to do things to help us win besides catch football. And he buying into playing defense right now.
Really? Okay.
And then you got linebacker returning, Jalen Reese, and Tony Johnson that's returning. We got a sophomore linebacker, Chandra Williams, that's coming. That'll be playing this year as a sophomore.
Okay.
In the secondary, you know, you got the highly recruited Isaac Warren coming back, Purdue commit at the corner. You also have the two-way starter, Nick Kane, at the other corner. And then at safety, you have returning from last year, Bryson Gibson. And then you put next to him a very talented sophomore, Damian Miller.
That's pretty good. In fact, Miller intercepted a pass in that scrimmage, and he's just a 10th grader.
He's
right?
just a sophomore. He's just a sophomore. But he don't look like it.
Yeah, I was kidding. You know, when you play these young guys, and you've always done that, and run them out there, you've not been afraid to run these kids out there. Derek Rush was that way before you. Get their feet wet. You know they're going to make a few mistakes along the way, right?
And it's expected. It's
Right.
to be expected because you know these kids have to go through a learning
Right.
phase. And the only way that I know how to learn is to get out there and try to do it yourself.
Yeah, this is the kind of job that you can't learn it out of a book. Can
No,
you?
you can't. You can't. And I tell my players and I tell my coaches all the time, this is a sport where you cannot be lazy and you can't be afraid to make mistakes because with all failure comes some kind of success.
Does having been a defensive back yourself, does that help you understand that mentality? Because if you play cornerback, you're going to get beat,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And
okay, how good you are, you're going to get beat deep occasionally, right?
Most definitely. And some of the secondary players, like Ike said all the time, you know, sometimes I really wish our head coach wasn't a defensive back coach at some point in time
Right.
because I stay over there with them a lot,
Right.
and, you know, I'm always over there on the defensive side, especially with the secondary. So just keeping that mind frame of knowing that, you know, yeah, I made this mistake, but we got to move forward so that I don't make that mistake again.
Who taught you that when you played?
Coach Blurton. Coach Blurton was our defensive coordinator, and he was also the coach the secondary, and that was one thing he always emphasized with us is that you're going to make mistakes. The deal about it is you can't continue to make the same mistakes.
Right. We can live with it as long as the effort's
And
there.
you live with it as long as the effort is there. He said you can do it 100 miles per hour and you can mess up. That's fine. That just means there's only one thing that I got to correct. Now, if you do it, you know, half cocked and then you make a mistake, now I got to correct your effort, plus I got to correct what you did wrong. Let's just make it one thing and not two.
What if in the early season it cost you a ball game, one of those mistakes? How do you live with that?
As long as it's early in the season, I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
But you always use everything as a learning tool. You know, that lets you know what young men are capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. If they're not going to be capable of doing it early, probably 9 times out of 10 they can't do it later.
But that happened a little bit. The first game last year against Lufkin, down there before the Classic. That was Gio's first game. You guys made a lot. There were a lot of mistakes that night, right?
Yeah, a lot of mistakes.
We talked about it. There were a lot of mistakes, right?
A lot of mistakes.
And it cost you a game.
And it cost us a game. But good thing about it was, like I said, it was an early game.
Yeah.
And when you make mistakes early and not late in the season, you can live with that because that's what it's about. It's about building up a process.
Yeah.
You can lose every preseason game, but when you get to district and you roll through district, that's where it really counts.
Are you a better head coach now, you think, than you were 3 years ago?
I think I'm a little smarter. You know, I think I've learned to adjust and deal with things because I know that, you know, everything is not going to always go as I plan it to go. But you always got to make sure you have a plan. And that's something that I learned from all the coaches that I've been under, whether it's playing or coaching for them, is to make sure you have a plan.
All right. Now, you got some new assistant coaches, too. We
I do.
mentioned a couple of us. Talk about the coaching staff.
I have a new offensive coordinator,
William Blaylock.
Coach Blaylock. I have a new offensive line
Who was on
coach.
the staff last year, just not the OC,
Yeah, he was
right?
he was on the staff in the spring.
Right, okay.
He came in the spring.
All right.
I also have a new O-line coach, Dan Gator IV. I have a new wide receiver coach to go with Coach Johnson.
Okay.
His name is Brandon Jones, and for all you fans out there, he is from Robert E. Lee, and now he's coaching at John Tyler.
Okay.
I also have a new running back coach,
Okay.
Tyson Wilson.
Okay.
He played at Robert E. Lee.
I remember
For all
Tyson.
you fans that's out there,
Yeah,
he's
I
now
remember.
John Tyler line.
I remember Tyson. You
That's
bet.
on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, Derek Choice is new, isn't he?
That's why I'm going to the defense side
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
On the defense side of the ball, we have Coach Choice.
Who is a John Tyler
He's
guy?
a John Tyler graduate. He matter of fact, he was the senior class that we had when Rush first took over.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's coming
Fine
back,
player, too.
and he's bringing a fire and an understanding of the defense because, like I said, me and Coach Anderson
Well, he's so
both
young, he
coached
probably
him.
still wants to play,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
and he still looked like he could play too. He still looked like he could play. And then Coach Guthrie, which was the head freshman football coach,
Okay.
he is now a varsity defensive line coach, which
Okay.
brings that high school, college, and
Yeah,
NFL
okay.
experience.
All right. Okay.
And then, Coach Elder is still there. He's the one from my original staff that's still there. Coach Anderson is still there. Then we got 3 new freshman coaches. John Reynolds, which would be the head freshman football coach. Coach Michael O'Gwen. He actually played football with Jeremy Johnson at SMU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just got out, and this will be his first time coaching. And the other one is Coach Johnny McFarland. He is a relative of the Marcus McFarland and the Michael McFarland that were at John Tyler. So I guess we keep it in the family.
Keeping the family. All right. In the last 2.5 minutes or so, the district has changed up. This is a realignment year, and you got some new district opponents. Ennis and Lufkin. Yeah. You know Lufkin. You played them every year anyway, but now it's a district game again. They're delighted to kind of be back in an East Texas district. It's a big change for them.
Yes, they are. Yes,
and they love that too, don't they?
They love it. They love it because they know the competition level is going to get you ready for anything. We have a pounding team, we have a finesse team, we have a multiple set team in our district. In any given week, you don't really know what you're going to get out of each team. And that is something that, to me, helps you later on in the season.
But White House is still there. That's become a really pretty good rivalry.
Yeah, it has been. And, with the win that they had last year, it made it a true rivalry now because now the power has shifted over to their side, and my goal this year is to get it back on this side.
Well, I was going to say, this year, for the first time in a long time, you guys are the hunt-her instead of the hunt-hit.
That's right.
Does that help?
I guess
you'd
it does.
prefer to be the hunt-hit, though, right?
I'd rather be
year,
the hunted, man. Yeah. But, it's nothing wrong with hunting for your food also.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a little bit different role. I mean, you guys have a little something to prove this year, right?
Oh, most definitely. Every year we got something to prove. Even when you're number 1 in the state, you got to prove why you're number 1. And if you're number 35 in the state, you got to prove why you need to be number 1. So either way, I tell my kids, you got to go out there with the mind frame to do things right and make sure that people understand that who you are and what you do.
High school football is changing. Lee's the only 6A team now in East Texas.
6A team in East Texas.
So the vast majority of the teams are at 5A, which is just a name change. 4A now called 5A, 5A now called 6A, and the 4A, the former 3A level, the Gilmers, Kilgores, schools like that, Chapel Hills. I mean, the bulk of the teams in East Texas are playing at that level of football.
Most definitely, right? They are. Like I said, Robert Lee is the Lone Ranger right now for the 6A group.
Right.
But I think they're going to represent us in that 6A level.
Just talk a little bit about, the excitement of starting the football season as we wrap this thing up, this first Coach's Corner. Just what's it like to finally get this thing going?
Seeing everything that you've been doing since the beginning of the off-season start to come to form and get you ready for a season where you expect to play 16 games, knowing that our kids have been working hard, they've been understanding what we need to do. I got me a great staff put in place to help these kids understand what they need to do, and now we're all just ready to get to work and go game by game and take care of our business.
What do you look for from Plano Friday night?
Line it up, try to run it down our throat.
Yeah.
As long as our defense holds up and do what their coaches do, I think we're going to be just fine. Our goal is to beat them 1 point or 2 points or 3
or
points.
whatever,
just
right?
as long as it's one more point than what they have.
It's a home game, and again, it's Friday night kickoff at 7:30. At Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. And again, with the Kickoff Classic, there are 4 games. The Thursday night game between Gilbert and Liberty ILO, the JT Plano game, there's a Saturday game at 11 o'clock, and then Robert E. Lee on Saturday night. So 1 ticket will get you 4 ball games. So that's a pretty good deal. And again, that's coming up this week, and high school football season is here. Around here, it doesn't get any better than that. Again, the Lions need and deserve your support. It all begins Friday night, 7:30 against the Plano Wildcats at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. For Coach Holmes, I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.